you check the children. Show a little mad sometimes.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Howdy folks, welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Robert the Wolfman.
And you got Jaime and Fuego here, and we're doing a Fresca review, something that is going to be hitting the theaters not this upcoming Memorial Day weekend, but the following weekend. And it's David Cronenberg. I'm thinking of his son.
Yeah, it's Papa Cronenberg.
Yeah, exactly. So his son, Brandon, has done interesting things recently, like Antiviral and Possessor and whatnot, but this is his father's return to body horror. We be talking Crimes of the Future.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, honestly, I guess I'll start off just real quick with overall thoughts. Initially, I liked it, but I didn't love it. After thinking about it a little bit more, I've come to like this movie a lot more. There was a lot of stuff going on, so it was hard to kind of wrap your head around every little thing that was going on. But visually, this movie was great. I did have fun with it. It dragged on at a couple points, especially midway through. Some of that I felt could have been chopped up just a little bit better. Other than that, I had fun with this movie. It was a good little return to Cronenberg that we haven't had in a while.
Yeah, it's his first veering in the body horror since existence because, he did like Map to the Stars and also prior collaborations with Vigo, like Easter Promises and History of Violence, both based on graphic novels. And so it's interesting with this one because we reviewed Garland's latest Men, and that's a film that has grown on me over the course of the time since I watched it, and I'm kind of having the opposite with this one. And I definitely didn't dislike it, but I feel like the hype machine really just reared its ugly head in my mindset for this one, because he was saying people are going to walk out, it's going to be so shocking and whatever, and so that built a burden of expectation very heavily within me, and I did not personally find it particularly shocking. I felt that it was very well made. The acting was good, especially, Leia and Scott Speedman, who I can't even remember, the underworld dude who I can't remember the last time I saw him in something.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought he was really good in a limited role in this as well. And so a very restrained performance from Vigo, and Kay Stu's okay, but she doesn't really get as much screen time as I was kind of hoping for from her. And so while I really respect a lot of what it was trying to say about just body exhibition, graphic carnage sort ofness, and the fact that it is a presumably dystopian reality, and yet it didn't really give a lot of backstory about that. And I guess we'll get into that once we hit story here in a moment. But yeah, this is one that I think I was expecting to wow me a little bit more than it actually did. However, upon a second viewing, like you were saying here before we started filming, maybe I would, just pick apart other bits that I would appreciate a little bit more so.
No, definitely. And even some of the stuff we'll touch on the when we get to the story and whatnot, but I feel if they expanded on certain details, especially on this dystopian world and everything what's going on with the human race, it would have helped just to ease the ending a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's the kind of where I was more so looking at too, especially which would have been nice, but I still, again, I had fun with this movie.
Yeah, it was very Lynch Eraserhead in the fact that, okay, we're presented this reality, but we don't have a lot of explanation about how it came to be.
Exactly. Yeah, there's minor explanations and everything like that. I don't want to say too much just because it's kind of spoiler stuff for the story.
Yeah.
But it was neat because it did hit on a lot of points on things that we do with our food and how it's changing the physiological makeup of the human body.
No, big time. Yeah, I mean, so much of the crap, and whether it's preservatives or just processed food and in its totalitarian just tastiness that we get. It's very much a theme of this, and I mean consumption of plastic without getting too much into it. So.
Yeah, just jump into acting real quick.
So as I alluded to, ironically enough, I wanted more Scott Speedman. I thought that the angle with his particular character, which really starts out the film, his little side plot, and then we get just a sprinkling, thereafter. But I thought he was great, and I can't recall, as I mentioned, the last couple things that I've seen him in, aside from all the underworld stuff. So that was good. And then the girl from Blue is the Warmest Color, and then I know she was also in some of the last couple Bond movies.
Yep.
Leia Seydoux, not 100%. I believe she is a French actress, and yeah, she was really terrific. And I wanted more K-Stu, didn't so much get it. I was very surprised at how restrained Vigo's performance was in this, and it's very subdued, and he's doing his best Seventh Seal, like I don't know, Grim Reaper sort of thing with the hood that he's going around in for a good predominance of the movie. So
well, the thing I liked about his character is like he kind of played that sickly person pretty well, because that was a big thing with his characters. Like he's having issues with between his sleep, pain, digestion, things like that. So it's like he's got a whole laundry list of just bodily issues that he's dealing with.
And that's the thing I was going to say. Should we reveal, or do you think we just keep it?
Let's just keep that and everything.
Okay. Yeah. He is experiencing a new form of evolution in the human physiological structure, I guess we could say. That's all we can allude to.
Yeah, exactly. But again, like I didn't find there was a weak character in this. I do agree with you. I would have liked to have had more of Scott Speedman's character's story for what was going on with all that. But again, without too much of spoilers, because this movie it's worth it, and it has a lot of cool elements to it that he does hit on some social aspects with everything, but it's not overly heavy-handed that you might sometimes get. Again, our supporting, she was fantastic.
Yeah.
There was even some of those scenes on the performances, and kind of backtracking a little bit to, I wish they would have gone a little bit further with the graphicness, especially during her performance scenes. They were great. They were somewhat cringy and everything, but I think it just gets to the point where we're just so desensitized to everything. I didn't have that, or obviously I'm not gonna have, never had an urge to get up and just basically walk out of a theater unless the movie just absolutely sucked. But again, it's just that kind of burden of expectation is, I felt like this should have been more grotesque, especially for body augmentation. Because it plays a pivotal part into the story, the whole like mutilation basically.
Yeah, and the exhibition aspect of it as well. I mean, showcasing it before a live audience, and I believe K-Stu's character at one point says surgery is like the new sexuality,
the new sex and everything.
Yeah, and so that basically sums up this movie and the essence of erotica that Cronenberg is trying to go for here. And I mean, as we're kind of veering into story, I guess, you have Vigo and Leia's characters, and they are using his advancements, so to speak, in a exhibitionist sort of fashion, and they are performance artists, and they end up getting mixed up with some people in a organ registry that are kind of keeping track of how people's bodies are changing in this presumed dystopian era where I don't know if it's radiation or fallout or whatever else it may be, but that's a presumed culprit for the augmentation that's happening with certain people, most notably one character in particular. And it's fascinating with the subtext and with a lot that it had to say for me, but I just didn't personally feel that it went as far as it was just boldly conceptualizing, and so that was maybe one of my detriments for it. I don't know. How about you, man?
I feel the same, especially too how they presented it. They made it seem like there was going to be more. That's partly where I fell flat a little bit for me on the story. I liked where they were going. I just wish they would have expanded more. Again, like we were kind of saying earlier, on what's going on with the human population in this. What happened to the Earth? I understand it's Cronenberg doing his thing, because he does keep his stories semi-elusive, so it keeps you thinking, which I do appreciate, because there's times I want to think with my movies. Other times it's like, let's just check the brain off and have some fun.
Yeah. My pop's old phrase: check the brain in at the door, and then just roll with that shit.
Exactly, and it's also known as the popcorn flicks.
Yeah.
But the Cronenberg movies are definitely not your popcorn flick movies. They make you think about stuff, and again, he always hits on those social issues without just bludgeoning it in your face.
Yeah, and he totally did here. I mean, that's where I
was very subtle.
Yeah, I will double down on the fact that it was conceptualized very well. It's just like the the ultimate execution. And this is not like a crazy long movie either. This is like 100 minutes or a little over that. And so it's not like a 2.5. Yeah. So it's not like a 2.5 hour, bit of craziness. And maybe I would say with a longer runtime, then, like, dare I say, this could have been improved a little bit with just a little bit of additional backstory or even exposition. We get some exposition at the end of the movie, but
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if he ends up putting like a director's cut out of this, which it might serve it just that little bit better.
Yeah,
just have those additional scenes in there that they'd taken out.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, that's why I still purchase, Blu-rays and 4Ks and stuff like that, because I like that supplemental material, and
absolutely.
And I enjoy getting, to peek behind the curtain to the process. But so obviously with a film like this that is really heavily being marketed as his return to body horror, being, David Cronenberg, what did you think about the effects, man? I mean, do you think that when we actually got them, they were as shocking as you were anticipating?
Okay, so shocking so obviously we're segueing into the effects now, guys. So the effects were not necessarily shocking. At times they were gross, but I appreciate it because they were very realistic in going back to just the crazy things that people do in the art world. It gets to the point where it's like it's almost like the saying what girls say when they're during the makeup or whatever. It's like pain is beauty.
Yeah.
So you go through all this stuff to feel beautiful and sexy, and yeah, it's crazy, like that future's standard of beauty and sexual things.
Yeah, I was going to say my ex who worked for Philosophy, which is a company here in Arizona, she was like, yeah, beauty is pain, yeah, blah, 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 it is what it is. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
It was the first time I ever heard the phrase.
They shove their fucking feet in these, like, centimeter thick fucking shoes and shit. And hats off to you, ladies.
Yeah, exactly.
Respect, I
suppose,
But no, like, I loved the effects in this. I just wish we got more.
Same.
It failed on delivering the grotesqueness and the stomach churning that I kind of expected and wanted.
Yeah, dare I say, I felt like they showed most of the key scenes in the trailers, and the rest of the film just was much more character driven in that regard.
Kinda, yeah. Like, there was definitely, obviously, like some of like the more graphic stuff that we did not see in the trailer. But even then, it's like I expected and I wanted more from it.
Yeah,
everything else wise, I for the most part got what I wanted. I just for them claiming this movie of his return to the body horror, which is supposed to disgust you, and we've had people walk out, blah blah. Like, I saw an article earlier, I think from one of the film festivals or something like that, or like one of the recent previews. Apparently 4 people walked out.
Yeah. And
then that's literally all I've heard. Well, clearly you don't see very many horror movies or a Cronenberg movie.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are probably, and Cecil as well, and the rest of the gang, we're all fairly desensitized.
Like to a point, to a point that does kind of bum me out, because it's like I like that feeling. I miss that feeling of just being like, oh, the fuck kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, there was definitely a couple scenes in this, like some autopsy and cutaway scenes and everything that we had as flesh. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, it just got it almost, but it got to, like, it was more of a weird, like, that's fucking weird, what the fuck, versus I don't really know how to explain it from there. Didn't live up to what they were presenting, really.
Yeah, and that's the burden of expectation we were talking about a little while ago. And so I mean, yeah, some of the like most choice scenes of shock that are in this film, you kind of get a glimpse of in the trailer release, and the zipper, and also the bit that's like very H.R. Giger. I always forget how to pronounce his name. Like the encased sort of bit that he's in when they're doing one of their performances. But
yeah, and like the design of all those, like the bed and like the chair, like we've seen in the trailer, they were fantastic. Like, all of that design was beautifully done.
Yeah, Vigo at Cannes was actually talking smack about another movie which came out, earlier this year that everybody was talking about, and I thought Titan was honestly a more shocking and provocative film than this one. So,
well, she bangs an inanimate object and somehow gets prego.
Yeah.
Like, and then she cheats on the car with, what was it, a fire truck?
Yeah, I didn't like Titan either, but I felt like that movie was more out there and bonkers. And
yeah. Well, it's even was it brand new cherry flavor?
Mm-hmm.
That was like some of those scenes got me more than what Crimes of the Future did.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Cronenberg's, and, David Cronenberg, Cronin Sr., he's getting up there. He's getting older. And so maybe what he finds shocking and what he perceives as being provocative, everybody is like, that's passe. Like, you're getting up there in years, man. And so, but his son is still doing very interesting, exciting work. And, I mean, Brandon Cronenberg's only got a couple films under his belt at this particular point.
I will say, though, his son Brandon, his best one yet is Antiviral.
Yeah.
That one messed with my head.
Same, dude.
That messed with my head.
Yeah.
I was not about that. Like, I liked it, but I was not about it.
Yeah, but it also explored similar themes that I feel like the father here was trying to be like, okay, I'm gonna kind of show you the ropes, kid, so to speak, and this is about obsession, exhibition, and also the fact that the grotesque can be considered art in a lot of ways. And so I mean, there was a lot of, dare I say, half-baked ideas in this film that I feel like maybe with a longer runtime or just a little script rewrite alteration, because David wrote this and directed it himself, so a lot of interesting ideas, but it's definitely not going to go up in the pantheon of like a Videodrome or
it'll definitely have
his classic work.
Yeah, it'll definitely have its cult following. Pretty much like most all of his stuff, except for obviously like his mainstream stuff, like we mentioned earlier, Eastern Promises and
History of Violence.
Yeah, History of Violence, which were amazing movies.
And The Fly too. I mean, shit. As far as remakes,
I forgot. He did that one too. Music. How'd you like the music in this?
There isn't anything that really stuck out like amazingly to me. I don't know. That's one where I'm gonna have to, pivot back to you, man. I mean,
there were a couple times like I definitely liked the creepy ambiance that he was presenting with some of the scenes. We didn't have as heavy of a score as what I was kind of hoping that we've gotten obviously from his other movies. I don't know. It's one of those I feel I might appreciate the score better when I listen to it straight versus having in the background in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's not anything from a musical standpoint that stuck with me. Like, I hate the fact that I keep comparing this to Alex Garland's Men, but like that at least had from a musical standpoint, stuff that like stuck with me.
Well, the music
and whatnot. But this one, I mean, it's been a few days now since we watched it at the press screening, but. Yeah, nothing like really stuck with me as far as like a, pivotal and memorable sort of thing. But,
yeah, no, I can agree with that. And like even just going back to like what you're mentioning about Men, that movie especially, they utilize the music to absolutely push every scene in that. Like the music was part of each scene.
It was almost its own character.
Exactly, and that is one thing I really liked about that movie. And obviously why I really liked the score from that movie as well, because it was more on the forefront versus the background.
Yeah, truly.
So,
but I guess so we're both a little middle of the road about this one.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch Crimes of the Future again.
Same.
Like I was saying, like we were saying earlier, this movie had so much in it that there are going to be little things that might have slipped past you, so it's always good to go back and rewatch, because hell, even with most movies, you go back and rewatch movies and you start seeing stuff in the background you'd never noticed before, and it just brings that scene just a little bit better.
Yeah, it was definitely ambitiously layered, and even if it didn't succeed in all of the themes that it was trying to get across, I still feel like it's impressive in the regard of it's not paper thin cinema. That is for damn sure. This had something significant to say, and it's trying to be like prophetically, like predictive, I suppose. And even if it didn't always succeed, it still, does show a possibility of a future that is a lot scarier than the, current that we're existing in. So.
It's just one of those things like, oh, that would suck if we got to that point.
Indeed.
Would not be wanting to eat those little purple candy bars.
Not all. Yeah. Mystique. Yes.
Yes. But anyways, go watch this movie, guys, next week when it drops. Or technically, you guys would be seeing this review probably the day the movie drops.
Yep.
So
I'll
go see it.
What Cecil's going to put it out? It does officially arrive June 3rd, so keep an eye out for that. It is going to be exclusively in theaters, and then shortly thereafter, there's going to be a VOD rollout where you can spend those premium prices when you spend a lot less just going to a theater. Support the theater system, guys. I still very much
honestly, dude, I miss going to the theaters back in the day. I just don't. I don't like the prices now. Like Bring the theaters back to the prices that they used to be. Damn it! You don't mix with the tradition.
Dude, that's why Cecil and I have that AMC, A-list where we spend $20 a month and you can see 3 movies a week. So and they are not a sponsor or anything, but
they're not.
It's a pretty sweet fucking deal.
I know you guys have been telling me about that for a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'll break down one of these days. There's too many damn subscription services each damn month.
Yeah,
I'm sick of it.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
Sick of it. All right, guys. I'm pretty sure that's gonna do it for this review of Crimes of the Future from David Cronenberg. Like we said, definitely go check this movie out. I did have, like I said, the more I thought about it, the more I enjoyed this movie. So don't go in there thinking it's like this is gonna be the most grotesque thing that he's put out. It's gross, but honestly, the sadness was a lot bloodier.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Most definitely. Well, yeah, the sadness. I was trying to think of what you were mentioning for a moment. I'm like, oh yeah, the Shudder crossed meets the Crazies, which we which we also reviewed, myself and Robert. I'm not sure if when you guys see this review that will already be up on the channel, but Robert and I got the chance to discuss that, which was cool. And obviously the liking, sharing, subscribing. We also have a horror show channel Patreon where if you would like to suggest stuff for us to review, we even have a higher tier where you can suggest a commentary or get a boogie box, which is a curated bit of cool swag that Cecil puts together every month. So if you really want to be supremely supportive, check that shizzle out. And guys, until next time, Freight fans, I've been Jaime and Fuego.
I'm Robert Wolfman. And remember, stay scared.